Good evening, everybody. We're here this evening to confirm our selection for the Community Infrastructure Levy. I'd like to welcome members Councillor Andrews, Councillor Chellin, Councillor Davies and Councillor Oliver. My name is Barbara Clark and I was asked to chair this committee, which I do with enormous pleasure. I'd like to welcome any members of the public watching the live stream of the meeting on the Council's YouTube channel. The recording of the meeting will be held for 4 years. Please be aware that CCTV and audio recording is in operation in the foyer if you're coming in to the public gallery. Please note, a fire alarm test is not expected, so if the alarm does sound, you should immediately make your way to the nearest fire exit. We have no apologies. Do we have any declarations of interest from members present? Councillor Andrews.
Yes, I'm an employee of one of the applicants. That being the Everyman Theatre.
Thank you. Councillor.
Thank you. I am the ward councillor for St Paul's Ward, and some of the applicants that we've received fall within St Paul's Ward.
Thank you very much. The amount of money we have to distribute across unparished councils this year is £120,000. We were absolutely delighted to receive 28 bids totalling 257,000, which shows great ambition from our local community organisations. The Neighbourhood SIL is only available to projects taking place in non-parish areas, and the focus is on supporting community-led projects with an economic, social or environmental objective. These should deliver publicly accessible physical improvements and address the demands that development places on a local area, including contributing to carbon net zero. The panel has come up with an assessment process to ensure that the proposed allocations were made as fairly as possible, and I'd like to thank the officers who worked very hard to make this process easy for us. The assessment comprised 5 screening questions with the following 5 criteria, which were all scored separately. How well has the applicant set out that the project can deliver publicly accessible physical improvements and address the impact of development on the local area, and that the applicant can measure the success of the project? 2, how well was the applicant set out the reasons why the project is needed by the community? 3, can the project be realistically delivered within the next 12 to 18 months? 4, how well does the project contribute to Cheltenham net zero? And 5, does the project represent good value for money, and are the benefits of the project sustainable beyond the end of the grant funding? Each member of the panel has scored the application separately, and then we joined together on the 4th of June to review scores and to come up with a draft list of recommendation. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to confirm the panel's recommendations before passing them to Cabinet to sign off, which will happen on the 15th of July. It's very sad that not every application could receive funding on this occasion, but this is an ongoing process, and there will be more money and there will be more meetings in the future, and groups are welcome to reapply. Some of the projects we couldn't fund this year were really valid and may be more appropriate for next year's funding. We're going to go through each application. I'll give you a précis of what it was, where it was, how much was asked for, and what conclusion we came to. And then I'll ask my colleagues to raise their hands if they would like further to comment on that specific application. I'll try to be brief. This is quite detailed. And number one, the Friends of Imperial Square Heritage and Conservation requested £5,500 funding for the reinstatement of historic railings and entrances around Imperial Gardens. This scored by everybody, and the total, I'm afraid, did not score well. Panel members were not certain that the project fully meets the criteria which were set out on the application's form. Number two, the Friends of Hatherley Park requested £1,500 for a replacement slide. This was scored very well, and the committee recommend funding in full. Number three, the Petersfield Partnership, which is for the St Peters and the Moors Community Sports Hub, they requested £14,460. This was a good application, but we suggested part funding, the pathway at £9,500 and lighting at £900, which is a total of £10,400. We are aware that there's also a bigger application for strategic SIL funds, and we will ensure there is no duplication of funding. Number four.
Do you want to pause and just make sure everyone's happy?
Is everybody's happy so far? You will raise your hands, members, I hope, when you have anything at all to ask. Number four, Cheltenham Saracens Football Club. Improve access to Petersfield Park and the Community Hub, requesting £9,660. The application felt like a duplicate of the application from Petersfield Partnership, which has been supported. Therefore, the committee decided not to fund this application. Number five, John Sneath, project Even Load. Was not clear how much funding he needed. We would like him to look at this again. It was for a garden which would benefit the community. We need to go back to John Sneath and ask that he comes up with a fuller application. We were sympathetic, but we couldn't fund in this instance. Friends of Pittville requested £1,500 for the Pump Room Interpretation Board. This did not score well because the panel members were not certain that the project fully meets the criteria as set out. West Cheltenham Parochial Church Council, for the development of St Aidan's Garden, requested £27,123. The project is dependent on other funding. Therefore, the committee decided to part fund the Community Vegetable Garden Project, earthworks and hard landscaping for a total of £12,388. The Friends of Naunton Park asked for £6,200 for the Asquith Road Car Park Path addition. We asked for this to be resubmitted another time because, frankly, Naunton Park has asked for a lot of different funding for a lot of different projects. So overall, we were obliged to look at all of them and select the one that we felt met the criteria this year. Number 9, the Cheltenham Sea Cadets Solar Panels Project requested £8,000. It was a good application, and they've brought in some additional funding. So we are funding this project in full. And I'd like to say it does mean that it will, with the savings, enable more cadets to join. Number 10, Vision 21 Gloucestershire for the Eco Hub requested £18,921. There was a question over the deliverability within the timescale, but the panel recognised that V21 were very good at project funding and fundraising. So we agreed part funding for the photovoltaic panels for a total of £12,171. Number 11, Friends of Elmfield Paths and Suds, requesting £5,000. We agreed we would fund this in full. Holy Apostles Church of England Primary School requested some funding of £4,000 towards solar panels, which included a survey. It's a good project. We recommended part funding with the hope that the diocese might come through for the church school as it is concerned with the building. So we agreed to give them £3,000, which we hope kickstarts the project. The Gloucestershire Everyman Theatre Company Limited. This is for an education centre in Grove Street, creative arts for all communities. The total requested was £16,587.36. It was a very good project, very community-based as well, recommending part funding, but not the VAT and not the contingency. So they will get £11,519. The Naunton Park Preschool Playgroup requested a preschool outdoor play area redesign costing £9,500. It didn't score well, I'm afraid, because we weren't certain that the project fully meets the criteria. Monkscroft Community Action Group. The project is named Reimagining Spaces in Monkscroft. £9,000. It's a very good project that's community-led, and we agreed funding in full. 16, Naunton Area Residents Association. The Triangle Community Garden Improvement, £2,060 was requested. It was a good application, and we recognise that the garden is very well liked by the community, so we are funding this in full. Number 17 applications, it's Cheltenham All Saints Scout Group, asking for £9,000 for solar panel installation. We liked this very much, and we recommended funding in full, £9,000. The Daisy Bank Community Interest Company, Daisy Bank College and Charlton Park Engagement Project, requested £750. The panel rather wondered whether Leckhampton Ward and Charlton Park could fund this project, as parish councils can fund projects even if the project is a little over their border. So we hope they're successful in fulfilling their request with the parish council. Cheltenham Paint Festival requested £7,500 for the Honeybourne Line street art murals to improve the public realm. The panel noted that other funds are available for the Paint Festival via the Public Art Panel. We did not give them, therefore, any funding. We hope they're successful elsewhere. 20, The Rock, Spokes and Hope, which is a reference to cycling, Spokes, requested £15,000. We recommended part funding for the cycle shed of £5,000. Yes, I don't have the next page. Yes, I do. 21. The Alliance for Equality, Common Ground Cheltenham, Multi-Use Community and Young People Space requested £23,000. We picked this apart, and unpacking it and putting it together again, we came up with £8,000 for first phase electrics, plus a contribution to materials and equipment at £5,000, but not the floor, We need to make sure the project has robust fundraising to attract further investment to deliver the first phase of the renovation work. There are opportunities for them to reach out to local building companies, and we hope they should do so. Therefore, the amount we've given them is an allocation of £13,000. The Playhouse Theatre Cheltenham Capital Investment Scheme requested £9,500. We agreed not to fund this because the council had, just before our meeting, provided the Playhouse with a £25,000 grant. 23, the Monkscroft Pastoral Care Project is the Family Wellbeing Hub Haven, requested £20,000. Although we like the project, we decided they could actually explore links with other Monkscroft projects and maybe resubmit this request next year in a different shape. Friends of Naunton Park, they're very active, aren't they? Revamp Naunton Park cafes outside. They asked for 2,200. It didn't score well. The project did not fully meet the criteria. The Pilly Footbridge Action Group, reopening of the footpath, right of way, the old Patezians footbridge, requesting £10,000. The project, again, the project's on the border of Charlton Kings and Leckhampton Parish Councils. The panel wondered whether the parishes could fund this project, as parish councils can fund just over the outside their border. So maybe they would like to get together. Yes, you may. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, just to say on that particular project, it's purely for some investigative work to see whether the costs of repairing the bridge are viable. I think that's all been done before anyway, and I can't honestly see that the 10,000 would make any difference at all. So I'm happy to support this. Support the refusal.
Does anybody else have anything to say about the? Thank you, Councillor Oliver. We'll carry on. 26 was Cheltenham Borough Council, St Peter's Square Playground improvements. They wanted £8,700. It's an important project and it's in a priority community that we're very fond of. So we decided to fund this in full at £8,700. The penultimate is 27. Cheltenham Borough Council requesting £9,200 for the Green Space Department, Fiddler's Green playground improvements, and we agreed to fund in full £9,200. The last request came from the Fairview Community Association, entitled The Future of Fairview, Building a More Connected Community, £3,500. The committee agreed that the project does not deliver a physical improvement. And as for many of these applications, I think this might have been successful if they'd filled out the form with more detail. But that comes to the end of our decision at this stage. Yes, our officer would like to speak.
Just to confirm, and if we've got any of the projects viewing online, I just wanted to reaffirm we're not actually making allocations of funding today. We're only making recommendations to Cabinet. It's actually Cabinet who is the decision maker. So I just wanted to remind members of that point before Chair asks you whether you're happy to go forward with the recommendations as presented. Thank you.
That's don't shoot the messenger. I think we've worked very hard, but Cabinet is actually, as the officer said, therefore, to look at this in detail. They have far more strategic knowledge than any of us here. Right, sorry. Do we have any other business? If anybody has anything to say, this is the time to say before we approve the list of recommendations to go forward to Cabinet. Anybody? Right, okay, let's have a show of hands for who approves this.
Do you want to speak?
Yes, thanks, Chair. I mean, I think the process is great because last year I was at the other end of this process. I was actually one of the people applying for some SIL money on, and you can see what a difference it can make. A lot of projects here tonight, which we've gone through, meet the criteria because they're projects that have attracted match funding from a number of other bodies, and that really shows community support, and it gives us a chance then to make sure that we're backing things that the community actually want to happen. So yeah, I'm really pleased with the process, and great to be on the other end of it now.
Anybody else? I'd like to thank the officers for making the voting process relatively easy. There was a lot of detail to go through, and having the 5 criteria and a marking scheme helped to fuel the conversation around which projects we could support. And I'd like to emphasise there are opportunities for the public to speak to officers before you put in your request next year. We hope there'll be more money on the table as there's a lot of development going on. And there's plenty of opportunity for you to ask how to make a better application. And we wish you all the best with that. Yes.
Just for the purposes of the notes, if we could have a show of hands from members that they agree the proposals as presented, as we haven't done that action just yet. For the purpose of those watching on YouTube, I can confirm that all members have acknowledged. Thank you.
That was a unanimous vote, and we look forward to hearing what happens.